Hey everybody, I'm Patrick, and this is Rocky Mountain Style. If this is your first time here with us today, welcome, and if not, welcome back. I really appreciate the time that you guys put spending watching my videos and clicking on those videos. It really does mean a lot to me seeing those counters go up. It still amazes me sometimes when people watch my silly content, so really appreciate it. Today we're talking about the Rhodes footwear Owen moc-toe boot. Rhodes footwear, of course, is Huckberry's in-house brand. They've been around a few years now. I don't know exactly how long. It's not readily available. However, they have been seemingly experimenting with different types of footwear, trying to really find their niche and find themselves as a brand, which for a fledgling brand, I think that's a totally reasonable thing to do. This boot today, the Rhodes Owen moc-toe, is definitely my favorite of the ones I've had experience with. I had one other boot previously that had it's not an issue, it just didn't quite fit my foot right. The arch was a little bit too high, so it was a little bit painful, and I tried breaking it in, didn't quite work. Another one had a QC issue, which can happen to any brand. And upon sending it back, I wanted to switch sizes as well, and that size was no longer in stock because of a sale from last year. So I ended up not getting that boot at all. So thankfully, I'm happy to report that the Owen moc-toe is really good for my foot. I'm a big fan of it. I think it's a pretty decent value for what it is. We'll go into some of what it is right after the break here, of course. But if you do want to hear and see a little bit more about it, please stick around and join me. Thanks. Okay, the Rhodes Owen moc-toe boot in umber. Umber, of course, is the color I have. They also have it in aspen, which is this lighter suede. I do like how this looks on paper, but in practice, whenever I've had lighter boots, I'm always afraid to wear them with my raw denim because the raw denim 100% will get on the boot. And that's okay with browner boots because you just kind of get a dark discoloration, but with lighter boots like this, you can actually see the blue. And then for me, it just ends up looking a little bit funny. I know that may be a little bit nitpicky for me, but that's just kind of how I feel. So size 8 through 13, whole and half sizes looks like, at least, up to 12. There's no 12 and a half. Real quick, we're just going to look at some of the specs here and then chat a little bit about some things. So, uppers constructed from waxed and tumbled full grain leather that's lasting, handsome, and takes on a personal patina. So, from the recently released Rose Anvil video when he cut them in half, just yesterday, I believe, we saw that the suede is fairly thin. It has a textile type backing, and then there's the interior lining. So, there's a textile fabric kind of thing wedged in between the suede and the leather lining. So depending on your viewpoint on things, that's either a big negative or a non-event. So the leather interior lining and the leather exterior theoretically can let your foot breathe a bit, and some people think that textile makes them not breathable. I suppose there's probably some truth to that. And others just think it's a cheap way to do things because you can use thinner leather. So, take it for what you will. Just know that that's in there. And then make your decision accordingly if you like the boots or not. So back here, leather is from Lafargue Tannery. So Lafargue is one of the tanneries that works largely with Thursday. So if you have any Thursday products or know that, the quality level of Lafargue. It's probably not the best in the world, but it's certainly far from the worst. So I think very reasonable for this sub 300 price range. The Vibram Mini Lug outsole. So of course I kind of have a love-hate relationship with this outsole, as you guys know. It's quite loud when you walk on hardwood floors and things like that, but it is, once you break the boot in, it doesn't detract from the comfort for me, and it does seem very durable. So, and a trusted name like Vibram, so it's a good outsole if you can get over the loudness. It is Goodyear welted, so it can be restructured, recrafted rather, redone by a cobbler. It does have a leather midsole, which is nice. So if you see here, this part right here where my mouse is tracing, that is the leather midsole. So that adds a little bit more of that ability to mold to your foot, along with the cork insole, which it does have a cork insole. It's got a steel shank in there as well. It's made in Leon, Mexico. All you guys probably know about Leon thus far. Pretty cool place to get your boots made. Real quick, yeah, sizing. So I have mine in a 10D, which is, well, I guess they don't have different sizes, but I have mine in a 10. It's a normal D width, and it fits my foot exactly like you'd expect a 10D to fit someone who wears a 10D. The overall shape of the boot, I think, is pretty nice, and we'll talk more about that in the next section. Now I'd like to take a little time to tell you what I like about the boot and perhaps what I would change about the boot. So as a reminder, I've had this boot for several weeks now, call it 4 weeks, worn it a good amount in those 4 weeks based on the fact that, I just can't wear the same boot every day. I have this thing for variety. So I've worn it a good amount though for me, having the boot for 4 weeks. Really enjoy it so far overall. So what do I like? I like in general the shape of the boot. So I mean both the functional shape, like the lasting, and the silhouette itself. So it's a really pretty boot, I think. I like the way that the toe box narrowly slopes. I like the curve here. I think from the front it has a nice look top down. I like that look there. Looks good. It's not a clown shoe. And then also, so I don't have any direct experience with the Alden Indy, but from what I understand, this shape here where the boot comes off to the side a little bit, sort of almost like a kukri knife, that is reminiscent of the Alden True Balance last. So again, I have no personal experience with it, but I've heard it's good last, it's a comfortable last, and some people swear by it. So I like this quite a bit for that reason. And the toe box itself, sort of right there where the widest part of your foot, it's pretty wide. It gives you a lot of room for your foot to spread out. And even during a long day of wear, it doesn't get any tighter. There's plenty of room up here, and the sort of more narrow by contrast back end keeps everything in place. So that's something I like. I really actually do like this suede leather. Now, I did mention it before. I'll mention it again. When it was cut in half by Rhodes, there was some synthetic material on the inside. In general, that doesn't necessarily bother me. I don't expect every boot to be made out of 100% leather, and if so, I wouldn't expect to pay under $300 for it. I like how it looks, though. I like how it feels in person. I'm not sure if patina is the right word because it's suede and it's going to move around and get scratches, but I think it's just going to look better and better with age. And I like the fact that suede in general doesn't, get a lot of creasing like normal smooth leathers will. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a reasonable value. So $298 is full retail, right? And it's on sale right now. If you're watching this, you probably don't have much time left to buy it for a significant discount. But at $298, I think it's a reasonable value. But what would I change about it to make that go from a reasonable value to a good value? Well, first, I really kind of dislike how many eyelets and speed hooks it has. It has 6 eyelets and 3 speed hooks, so 9 total lacing points. Huckberry, if you're watching this, or Rhodes design team, if you're watching this, if you ever redo this boot or do any updates, add new leathers in the future, maybe consider taking it down to at least five eyelets. You can leave the 3 speed hooks, but 3 and 6 is just too much. When the boot's fully laced up, it just looks like there's a wall of flat, waxed cotton there, and it's a little too much. It looks a little too scrunched, and also it makes lacing just that much more difficult and that much more onerous. So that's something I would change. The other thing I would change, and I just sort of alluded to it, it's only available in 2 options, and they're both suede at the moment. I think this could be a really big player for Rhodes if they market it right, if they do things right. And I feel like they need a smooth leather option in order to do that. So maybe something in a burgundy or a lighter brown, maybe something in a chrome excel, maybe use a US based leather. I feel for $298, based on the construction of this, I feel like there's some room to put a nice premium leather option in there as well. Okay, so also for $298, I think after watching the Rosanville video, there's probably some room to maybe take out one of the pieces of synthetics that's in here and replace it with leather or another natural material. So I think there's probably a lot of boots in the 250 range that have similar construction. So for $298, I think maybe they could do it slightly better. But with all that said, And I don't want it to seem like I'm bad mouthing the boot, because I think it's a good boot. And for me, I have so many boots, and I'm sure many of you do as well. I'm not going to wear it every day. I'm not going to need this to last for my entire life. So if you are, maybe spending $700, $800 on a Knicks or a White's boots or something like that. But for this price range, most people are buying a boot that they like how it looks and it's comfortable on their foot. And for me too, those are the two most important things. You like how it looks, comfort. And this has both of those in spades. So I do like this boot. I would recommend this boot if those two factors are important to you as well. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and end the video. Thank you very much for watching. Have a fantastic day.